damseled. He had June.
Yet again! See? I told you.
His lips curled into a cruel, mocking smile. A shudder traveled the length of Junpei's spine. His chest froze and he could feel his breath go stale in his lungs. Nothing made sense. Junpei felt as though his head were about to explode. Santa's sudden change in attitude, saying that he needed 2 more, the gun in his right hand, a revolver. Santa had grabbed June from behind and pressed what Junpei's shaken brain identified as a revolver roughly against her temple. What was he doing with a gun? Where on earth had Santa possibly found a gun? Junpei's questions roared in his mind, but his mouth refused to ask them. Seven spoke almost as though he had sensed Junpei's confusion.
The gun's from the other room. What room? One of the rooms behind those 6. I should have known he was gonna do this. I should have taken the gun. Well, it's too late now, fat ass. Damn it! I'm not a fat ass.
A mixture of fury and frustration twisted Seven's face and he glared at Santa. Santa, for his part, didn't so much as flinch. The corner of his lip twitched into a slightly wilder smile. Then the smile faded and he began to move. He walked backward, dragging June with him. Before long, his back was resting against the door. On the wall next to him was the rat. He put his hand on the scanner panel quickly and then forced June to do the same.
Now, time for you to start following my orders. Ace, Lotus, congratulations. I've chosen you to come with me. Put your hands on the rat.
That was what Santa had meant when he said he needed 2 more.
Hey, you deaf? I gave you an order.
Santa's eyes narrowed to slits. He glared at Ace and Lotus. They stayed frozen like deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car.
Right. Fine. I didn't want to waste any bullets, but you guys just don't get it.
No sooner were the words out of Santa's mouth and his hand twitched, and the gun roared. A section of the floor exploded, scattering wood splinters across the floor. A thin plume of smoke snaked out of the hole in the floor. There could be no doubt that the gun was real and worked.
But why? Santa, why are you...
Clover's voice spoke of betrayal and disbelief.
Santa, I thought you were one of us. I thought we were friends. What? You knew about the leaf word and the 4-leaf clover.
Santa's cheek twitched almost imperceptibly.
What the hell is that shit? I've got no idea. You're lying! Shut up! Just shut up, you little bitch! Stupid, Entschuldigung. Ich wollte niemanden hier Unrecht tun. You want me to put a bullet in your fucking head?
Flakes of spit flew from Santa's mouth, his face twisted with rage. Clover recoiled, her eyes wide. When she spoke, her voice was very small.
Santa.
He snorted, then shook his head vigorously and turned to face Ace and Lotus.
Alright, assholes. What are you still standing there for? Get over here and scan those bracelets. I don't have all day. Oh, what's the matter? Your hearing's starting to go? Going senile, maybe?
Ace and Lotus still didn't move. It almost seemed as if they couldn't move. June's face was pale behind Santa's arm. Her eyes were wild and her chest heaved with every quick breath. Like an animal cornered by a predator, Junpei's mind worked furiously. What were they going to do? Then he realized something. There was nothing they needed to do. There was nothing to debate. June's safety was the first priority. That much was obvious. Doing as Santa had commanded meant that she would be safe from at least 2 threats. She wouldn't be shot, and she would leave the ship alive, along with Santa, Ace and Lotus. There was only one thing for Junpei to do. He turned to Ace and Lotus.
Please, go. Huh? But, Jumpy, what are you saying? If you stay here, you're gonna be stuck, Jumpy. And so will Clover and Seven. I know, but you don't need to worry about us. We'll figure something out. Right, Seven? Right. You just leave it to us. It's gonna piss me off to do what Santa says, but don't worry about me either. There's still something I have to take care of. But no. You can't. Ace. Lotus. Don't do it. Don't worry about me. Please.
June was almost crying. Junpei walked around behind Ace and Lotus.
Außerdem hat sie, glaube ich, alle ihre Finger gebrochen.
Ja, es sieht ein bisschen twisted aus, ne? Aber naja, in der Situation.
kann man sich die Finger schon mal brechen.
Without a word, he laid a hand on each of their
Die
backs and gently pushed them forward.
gehen halt in 3 verschiedene Richtungen, weißt du? Ja, der vordere Part geht auch nochmal nach oben.
Ja.
Und das ist... Ich habe ja schon
Ja, aber
sehr
ich glaube, das
krüppelige
passiert
Finger.
ja, wenn du hier so irgendwo raufdrückst. Wenn du irgendwo...
Ja, okay. Ja, stimmt.
They almost stumbled, then righted themselves and took another step and another. They turned around and Junpei nodded. Ace and Lotus turned around again and walked slowly toward the door where Santa was waiting for them. After what seemed like an eternity, they stopped in front of the door marked 9. Santa smiled.
Alright, now let's get those hands on the scanner panel. What's the holdup? What, you think I'm fucking around here? I don't give a shit about anything or something.
This girl.
The rat doesn't need a person, you know. All I need is the bracelet. You got it? Good. Now put your fucking hands on the scanner. I'm not gonna say it again.
He shoved the revolver harder against June's head and she winced.
Fine.
Ace sighed, defeated, and placed his hand on a scanner panel. Lotus went next. Lotus glared at Santa and slammed her hand on the scanner panel. The 4th asterisk blinked on.
Good job. Now Lotus, pull that lever. Soon as the door opens, you get your ass in there. Try anything stupid and you know what happens, right?
Junpei could almost hear Lotus' teeth grind. The door slid open. Door number 9 opened at last. It opened with a low, powerful rumble, a drum roll to welcome the chosen few.
Alright, go!
Lotus and Ace walked through the door, their eyes furious but defeated. Santa waited until they were all the way inside, then hauled himself and June across the threshold as well. 6, 7, 8.
Later.
After exactly 9 seconds, the door swung shut. The gust of air it created caused the candles on the altar to flicker and die.
Well, that was fucked.
The room fell silent. Junpei, Clover, and 7 had been left behind. Clover looked down at her hand and traced with her finger the faint blue veins that crisscrossed them. 7 shoved his arm into the front of his overalls and scratched his stomach.
Oh, he didn't?
No one spoke. Silence made the air feel thick and oppressive. Desperate for something, anything to occupy his mind, Junpei walked to the larger of the 2 9 doors. Hätten wir doch jetzt nur Snake da. He stood in front of it and looked at the rat.
Hä?
Fehlt uns nicht Snake, um eine 9 zu machen?
Ach so.
Mit denen, die wir gerade haben? It read engaged. He moved to the smaller door. The red read vacant. The digital root of the remaining people was 7. There was no possible way for them to open a door with 9 on it. Junpei touched the surface of the door. He thought about June, about Akane Kurashiki. Was she safe? That was all that mattered to him. She was alive. If she had escaped this horrible boat, that was what Junpei prayed for. 7 came up next to him. He pulled off his hat, scratched his head, and sighed.
So, what do you want to do, Junpei? What do you mean, what do I want to do? What can we do?
7 opened his mouth to respond when a noise echoed through the room. Someone was pounding on something vigorously. It wasn't mechanical, it was certainly human. Junpei and 7 looked at one another.
What the hell is that? Shh! Quiet!
Clover motioned to 7 to be quiet. She put one finger to her lips and closed her eyes in concentration. Three of them listened, trying to determine where the sound was coming from. Where was it coming from?
So creepy, that sound.
Could it be...
Hey, I think it's coming from this coffin. You're right. Let's open it. But how? What are those muscles for? For show? You're telling me to force it open?
For sure.
Just shut up and try.
Junpei and Seven grabbed hold of the coffin. They tried to get a good grip with what little purchase they could find and pulled with all their strength. Oh, es vibriert ja wirklich.
Galalalala. Damn it! Man, it won't even budge.
There was some sort of keypad attached to the coffin. Its purpose would not have been difficult to determine. Their eyes were almost immediately drawn to it.
Not another one. Yeah, looks like it. Do you think we have to put in the right password or it won't open? I think so.
The noise wasn't stopping. In fact, it was getting louder. They had no idea who was in the coffin, but they wanted out, and they wanted out now. They had no idea what they were supposed to do. Without a passcode, it didn't seem like there was a lot they could do. They couldn't even tell how many numbers the passcode needed to be.
Isn't there a hint somewhere? Well, let's look for one.
Unfortunately, there didn't seem to be anything near the coffin. Clover ran to examine the pews, and Seven investigated the desk, but they turned up nothing. The sound still wouldn't stop. It wasn't a noise that belonged in that room. What was the passcode? What was Junpei supposed to do? How was he supposed to figure it out? He needed something. The world blinked.
So, ich kurz erwähnen, hier wäre dieser Playthrough jetzt zu Ende gewesen, wenn wir nicht den anderen vorher gemacht hätten.
Echt?
Ja.
Huh. Suddenly, there was a voice inside of Junpei's head.
Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now the truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. What the hell was that? That voice?
Junpei was utterly and completely baffled.
Huh? What are you talking about? What's up?
Seven and Clover ran over to him, but Junpei didn't know what to tell them. If he told them he'd heard a voice, they'd laugh or worse, think he was going insane. So all he said was...
Nothing.
He cleared his throat a little too loud and looked pointedly down at his bracelet. There were a pair of small buttons protruding from either side of it. Junpei pressed the buttons on the bracelet. Wie war es hier nochmal?
Truth.
Truth had gone war right, left, right, left.
Genau, das ist quasi Truth had gone und Truth had gone und Truth had gone. Also es ist einfach nur right, left, right, left, right, left.
Right.
Truth hat, also left, Truth ist natürlich right.
Also das hier.
Right, left, right, left, right, left, ja. Weil, ne, Truth ist natürlich right und Lie ist, gone ist left, also...
Ja. Also
Truth had gone, Truth had gone, Truth had gone. So, und das hört natürlich auf, weil wir die Informationen nicht hätten, wenn wir nicht die im vorherigen Playthrough erlangt hätten. Das heißt, hier wäre dann to be continued gewesen.
That was it.
Das heißt, wir haben gerade Informationen aus unserem vorherigen Playthrough erhalten.
8 numbers blinked on and then off on the bracelet display. Junpei checked one last time. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Und das bist du.
1, 4...
Und so weiter.
Hä? Hä? Hey, what the hell were those numbers? Oh my gosh, are those...
Junpei didn't answer. He simply walked straight to the coffin. He knelt down in front of the keypad, running over the numbers in his head so that he wouldn't forget. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Und so weiter. With trembling fingers, he punched them in. That was all of them. He punched the E button. There was a moment of complete silence. Then there was the sound of the coffin lid unlatching. Someone sat up out of it.
Ah!
Ein Vampir?
Oh, is that you, Clover? I apologize for worrying you. Snake! Oh my, how did you... Junpei and Seven, is that you? Is everyone else there as well?
Was ich schon mal erstmal hier komisch fand. Warum klopft der nur?
Hab ich auch gedacht. Weil der stumm, weil er blind ist. Der konnte nicht sehen, dass die rufen könnte.
Ja.
Aber vielleicht war das ja so abgedichtet, dass man das nicht hören konnte. Und nur weil er dagegen geklopft hat, ist das was draußen.
Ja, das halte ich halt für sehr
Nein, das ist
anzuzweifeln.
Das war komplett Holz. Das ist ohne Lücke Holz. Das ist doch
Just
so.
Like Rip Van Winkle. Still, it was very much like Snake, so simply cut to the heart of the matter and ask.
Das habe ich gegoogelt dann mal. Das habe ich aber wieder vergessen, wer Rip Van Winkle war.
Achso. Junpei at 7 shared a wry smile.
Nee, das ist irgendeine Kinderstory. Das ist irgend so eine, von wegen, wer immer wieder Who Cries Wolf, weißt du, so nach dem Motto. So ein Kinder...
Clover's eyes were filled with tears.
You're back!
With a cry of joy, she leapt into Snake's arms. No.
Gently now. My body's still a little weak. You're back, you're back!
Clover looked like nothing so much as a lost child who had finally found her home. She cried and cried and cried. Her eyes were red and her nose was running. She hiccuped and gasped as if she were about to begin hyperventilating.
You're back! You're really here!
Her voice was happy but almost desperate, as if she feared he would disappear again if she stopped talking to him. Tear after tremendous tear rolled its way down her face. Her small arms strained as she clutched Snake's body as tightly as she could. Perhaps she had to convince herself he was real. Perhaps she was worried he would be gone the moment she let go. Perhaps she simply didn't know what else to do.
Oh, you're back. Come now, what's gotten into you? You're acting as though I've returned from the grave. Not as though you did. I really thought you were dead. Huh? You jerk. Idiot, idiot, idiot.
Baka. Clover broke into sobs so great she could no longer talk. It was a touching reunion between brother and sister. Even though Junpei knew they had little time and every minute they waited was a minute they wasted, it felt cruel to pull them apart. Junpei and Seven sat down on one of the pews, waiting for Clover to calm down before explaining to Snake what had transpired.
I see. I believe I understand things rather well now, thank you. In the shower room there is a dead body wearing my clothes. Because of that you thought I was dead, correct?
He had quickly and neatly summarized the events of several hours. Junpei nodded.
You also discovered a corpse in the captain's quarters and Santa turned on you here in this room. Do we have it straight?
Seven had been rather surprised to learn of the dead body in the captain's quarters. With everything that had taken place, Junpei had simply forgotten to mention it to him.
Well then, I've got a pretty decent idea of what happened while I was indisposed, but it's still something of a mystery who did all this and why. The corpse in the shower room that looked like me and the corpse in the captain's quarters. Why were they killed in the way they were? You don't know? No, why would I? The guy in the shower room. We don't know who he is, so let's just call him Mr. X. Anyway, this Mr. X is wearing your clothes, but you're wearing some kind of weird robes. That means someone took your clothes and put them on Mr. X. We need to figure out who that was. I apologize, but I have no idea who might have done this to me. I only just now woke up. I was unconscious during all the events you just described to me. They must have undressed me and changed my clothes during that time. When were you knocked out? When we split up to look for the rat. Where did you get out? Where did I get you, remember? It was a small room in one of the hallways of C deck. What happened? The same thing that happened to every one of us when we were abducted. A can releasing some sort of gas was thrown into the room. I believe the gas is some sort of incapacitating agent. Then that means it was 0. Looks that way, huh? There's nothing else I have to tell you. When I woke up, I was in this coffin.
Junpei crossed his arms and thought. Why had Zero made Mr. X wear Snake's clothes? How had the results of the trick benefited Zero? It was a mystery. Junpei couldn't make sense of it. He also didn't have a satisfactory explanation for how he discerned the keycode for the coffin. It just didn't make sense. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. What did that mean? It didn't mean anything. And why had Junpei felt compelled to push the buttons on a bracelet after hearing them? Seven had asked him about while they waited for Clover to finish crying. He'd had no answer for him then, and he still didn't. All he could say was that it seemed to have been a subconscious reaction. His fingers had simply moved of their own accord. It was the only explanation that made any sort of sense, and it made almost no sense. Junpei had no idea what any of it meant. His mind was a maelstrom of mysteries, clues, theories, and more mysteries. He could barely think. And of course, Snake and Clover had been subjects in a similar experiment 9 years ago.
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany and the other is danger. And someone did actually die. A girl. Her name was,
There had been another experiment conducted on the same ship 9 years ago. A girl had died during it. Morphogenetic field theory. The 2 murders. Switching clothes. The nonary game. And whatever strange thing that was happening to Junpei himself. The maelstrom in his head spat out words and ideas that disappeared back into it almost as soon as he grasped them. But as he struggled through them, Junpei began to realize something. There was something that tied all of them together. Zero. He was the ringleader, the person who had trapped 9 people on a sinking ship. Zero knew everything. If they could uncover Zero's identity, all of the questions would be answered. Who was Zero? Junpei had the beginnings of a theory. If he could only test it. Or perhaps...
At any rate, we'll have plenty of time to decipher the details later. For now, it is of utmost importance that we escape. Junpei, it was 4:30 the last time you checked the clock, yes? That means we have less than an hour. We must hurry. Hey, how are we gonna get out of here? Isn't that obvious? Through the other number 9 door. Oh yeah, you're right. With Snake we can open the door. Don't tell me you hadn't figured that out.
As they sniped back and forth, Junpei glanced at Snake's left hand. He was wearing a bracelet with a 2 on it.
Come on, you gotta tell me these things. I assumed you'd figured it out. God, forget it. Let's just get going.
7 stomped off toward the smaller number 9 door. Clover, Snake and Junpei followed.
Oh, ich pass nicht durch, so ein Mist.
7 quickly laid his hand on the red. An asterisk appeared on the screen. Junpei and the others followed suit and laid their hands on the scanner panel. Soon there were 4 asterisks on the screen. 7 glanced at them, then laid his hand on the lever of the red.
Alright, you guys ready to go? Yep.
Junpei paused for a moment.
Not yet. Huh? Before we go in, I'd like to check something. You want to check something? Yeah, but before I do, 7, could you pull the lever? I want to make sure we can verify with just the 4 of us. What do you mean we don't need? Just do it, alright? But if the door opens, don't go in yet, okay? Please, this is really important. I really need to check this, okay? Work with me here.
Junpei looked directly into 7's eyes. The older man looked back for a moment, then nodded.
Fine.
Seven pulled down the lever on the door, 9 creaked open. Then they waited. 6, 7, 8.